Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I have your World Record hot lap and track guide around Barcelona in Spain. I've actually done this lap like quite some time ago. It's been a good month since I've done it, but I've just been too busy to get around to actually record the track guide itself. So as always with these videos, I'll play the lap first, then we can go into more detail with the analysis of the lap and the setup, etc. So enjoy. So heading into the analysis of the lap, first things first, if you actually drive around the last corner instead of letting the AI do it for you, like I'm doing here, I'd say it's slightly faster, maybe around about around about 100th. What am I saying? Right. So just keep that in mind. I didn't do it on my lap, but it could be helpful. So heading into turn one, I'd like to consider turn one, turn two, turn three. The entirety of sector one is just one corner because they're all dependent on each other. So enter turn one with the mindset of how you want to end up through turn three. And like I'll play the clip and talk about it more when I get to turn three. So as you can see from there, the fastest line through turn three is keeping it completely hugged to the inside and like being able to do that with a smooth steering input to not scrub off speed. So your aim during turn one and turn two should be to gain as much time as possible, but still be able to do this through turn three. And you want to think backwards from this point. So let me go back to my lines for turn one. There, okay. So the turn one is pretty straightforward. Use the inside curb, then get on the power quite hard. Then through turn two, you want to use the curb again, but avoid this sausage right there. Now here is the critical bit. If you run too wide, like say put your car completely onto the green stuff, you won't be able to pull it back to the left in time to be able to hug the inside through turn three. So there's a fine balance to be found here, and it comes with practice. But my line was around about correct. And you can just about maybe touch the inside curb through turn three here to rotate the car a bit more, but it's a very risky thing to do. But anyway, if you can get around like maybe a mid or a high point 0.8 for a sector, that's good enough. Now heading into turn four, it's a pretty basic slow in fast out corner where like the exit is very important. But since the corner just goes on forever on the exit, if you like brake too early and get on the power too early, like you'll just run out wide onto the grass on the exit. So what I prefer to do is brake a bit late and get a later apex. So then I can get a straighter exit and it's just a bit faster. So down to fifth gear, pretty good exit for me. Now into turn five, you can actually pick up the power like really early in this corner. maybe like earlier than you think. So down to fourth gear, don't really prefer to touch the inside curb, but doesn't really matter honestly. Um, I think third gear is actually slightly faster, but fourth gear also works. Now on the power very early and make sure to completely use the track on the exit. That can gain you a lot of time, I can tell you. Now heading down to the chicane, which personally I've just always hated because the exit is just very difficult because of how bumpy it is, like at the middle point down there. So this corner is all about the exit, but if you brake too early and like try to get on the power early and completely focus on the exit, since it's so bumpy down there, like you just won't be able to do it. The car will snap out. So the ideal way to do this is actually carry a lot of speed. So like fifth gear, then like running out wide. But now you want your car to be parallel to the sausage curb, but not touch it. That's the fastest line. I did actually touch it here, and it might have cost me some, maybe small amount of time, but it was still okay regardless. Now through turn 9, what you want to be doing is using as minimal steering input as possible. Pretty much try to think of the corner as like a straight. Like try to make it as much of a straight as possible. And it has to be completely flat out. Then avoid the sausage on the inside again, and but make sure to use the red and white curve. So running out completely wide, like I said, you want to use as minimal steering look as possible, like make it like a straight. Then you can use that curve on the exit. That doesn't hurt you at all. So that's the end of sector two. Now into the new corner, which personally I actually really enjoy this corner. I don't know why, but like becoming one of my favorites, sort of. So you want to be able to brake very late because there is a ton of space on the exit. And but since the corner is very long, it's like very easy to lose stability mid corner. So I prefer to get off the brake slowly. Like you might see my braking inputs down there. There's still some small braking inputs. Sorry if I scroll back. Yeah, around there, like I'm still keeping, I'd say like 25 to 30% braking input. Then again, avoid the yellow curb. That's just like a general theme with this circuit. Don't do that. Then keep the throttle on, but there is like a point, like right around there where you can see the traction kick in, and like that's when you go on full power. I know some people prefer to keep like a tighter line through here, but I prefer to run all the way out wide and maximize the circuit. I think either way can work depending on your driving style. But anyway, right around here, I can just feel the traction kick in, and this just comes with practice and doing the track a lot. So after that, pull the car completely to the left-hand side, and now we're heading onto a very difficult corner, like especially on the exit right there. So I prefer to brake early for this one, and then keep it in high gears. Like you're gonna watch me short shift to fifth, and like the exit is very difficult here, and it's very important. So you want to open up the steering, but without spinning the rear wheels, because ideally what you want to do is you want to end up right here on the exit. Like that'll be beneficial for the next corner. Like if you end up around here and try to move back to the left hand side, it just will not work as well. You want to make sure you exit the corner completely on this curb, then stay on the curb for the next corner, then downshift to fourth gear. And from here, it's a very interesting dilemma. So the more you get on the throttle between here and the final chicane, the more you're going to get onto the right hand side and you're going to be better through the final chicane. But then again, it's very easy to spin the rear wheels and just like end up in those tire barriers right there. So there's a good balance to be found as always. I'm on full throttle for a split second, just about a split second before I get off immediately. But you can see I'm not braking fully here because if I brake fully, I just get too much understeer. So Like some maybe trail braking and brake modulation is important in the final chicane. It's a very difficult corner. Again, avoid the sausage on both of these curves. You want to stay mostly on this. Like be very sharp with your steering inputs. But now after you do the first part of the chicane, pick up the throttle a bit to rotate the car more towards the left. And that'll just open up the second part of the chicane and you'll get a good exit. So I just prefer to be just very aggressive on the steering wheel through this corner. But you have to keep throttle inputs in. Like you can't let it go. Otherwise your exit will not be very good onto the main straight. So smooth on the power, but aggressive on the steering wheel is what I'd say. Then exit parallel to the sausage curb once again. If you touch that, your lap is completely gone. So be careful of that. Then through the last corner, easy flat. And that's a world record lap of Spain, 1:15.728. So as you can see, that's P1 in the leaderboards, and I'm quite happy with that. I thought it was a solid lap with no major mistakes and just quite good all around. So now we can talk about the setup I used in this lap, which is interesting with very aggressive wings, 50-36. Yeah, you can see right there. So the purpose of that is to just rotate the car as much as possible from the front end. I found that to be the most effective way around this track. One thing I'll say though is don't use this type of wings in like a league race or a race of any sort because one, you'll have no straight line speed, and two, you'll just turn into a fidget spinner like through turn three due to lack of rear grip. So in time trial it works when the tire temperatures are fixed, but anywhere else it would just fail like massively. Now onto the transmission, 5350, fairly standard here. I'd say on throttle transmission is solely dependent on how you feel through turn 9, the flat out right hander in the middle sector. And so on throttle transmission like controls how much your car turns when you're on the throttle. So if you're running it say 60% or maybe like quite high locked, the car just maybe wouldn't turn through turn 9, or if you're running it too unlocked, it would turn too much and you would spin. I found 53 to just be a really good sweet spot for me, so I kept it in time trial that way. Now moving on to the suspension geometry, fairly standard except the front camber. So the front camber, the purpose of that is to just induce some understeer in the long corners and makes it more stable through those types of corners. Like you're seeing, I'm running very high front wing, so this is a way to just counteract that. I found it to be just quite fast in time trial that way, but wouldn't work in a race like I said. Now onto the suspension itself. Quite stiff on the front. Again, sort of similar theme, balancing out the aerodynamics by running front suspension. The car is more stiff on the front, so the reason I'm running more stiff roll bar than the suspension stiffness itself is to just make it more stable mid corner. That's when the anti-roll bar is most effective. I just found that to suit my driving style. Then the right height, there is nothing really like special there. 4.5, quite normal. Onto the brakes, 150, and tire pressures, minimum on the front and maximum on the rear, which is like almost always what you want to do in time trial. So that's the setup. And yeah, that pretty much concludes the video. So if you enjoyed it, let me know or have any suggestions, and I guess I'll see you next time.